Boyfriend threw me out into the cold over a Facebook poop sticker, leaving me confused about whether he's immature or I am. First of all, Greg and I have always bonded over a pretty immature sense of humor. From the beginning, we've been the type of couple that teases each other relentlessly and finds jokes in practically everything, especially when it comes to anything bodily. We'll laugh about farts, or after a big night out at dinner, our drive home might devolve into both of us groaning and pretending to be in labor and calling dibs on the bathroom to deliver our food babies. Yes, we literally say that, referring to pooping. It sounds ridiculously childish when I say it out loud, but it's our thing, and it works for us. We're extremely comfortable together, have never had a single fight, and are always open with each other, though, in all honesty, there's never really been a serious issue we've had to navigate. Tonight was supposed to be another chill evening. I was at his place for a Netflix marathon, sprawled out on his sofa. Sometime into our binge, Greg got up and headed to the bathroom. I called out, asking if I should pause the show, which was our way of joking about whether he would be a while in there. He told me not to pause it, so I assumed he was just going for a quick pee. But after 15 minutes, he still hadn't come back. Fair enough, maybe he actually was taking his time. I got up to make myself a snack, passing the bathroom on my way to the kitchen. That's when I heard the little sound effects from a game he and I both play on our phones drifting through the door. I couldn't help but laugh. I immediately thought of these Facebook stickers we'd been obsessed with, the ones that feature this anime-style poop character and his little toilet paper sidekick. I still have no clue why someone invented them, but they're hilarious and sort of adorable. There's one where the poop is sitting on a toilet, completely engrossed in his phone. I couldn't resist. I snapped off a quick message and sent him the sticker, then added, "You right now," his reply, "Wow." I giggled and put my phone away, finished making a snack, and went back to the living room, thinking nothing of it. Soon, Greg came out of the bathroom and rejoined me for Netflix, but something was different. He wasn't his usual touchy self, didn't put his arm around me, and sat way farther away than he normally would. I could practically feel the distance radiating from him. He was silent for a while, maybe 20 minutes, then out of nowhere, he said, "Do you have a friend you could get to take you home?" I stared at him, totally lost. "What?" He repeated himself, almost monotone. "Do you have a friend who can come get you?" Panic and confusion hit me all at once. I tried to get him to tell me what was going on, asked if he was upset, but he barely said anything. Eventually, he replied, "I just can't believe you did that. That was just really upsetting." I was stunned. "What are you talking about? The sticker?" He said, "Obviously." I apologized instantly, genuinely sorry. I hadn't meant to cross any line or upset him. I told him I would never do it again, please just help me understand what about it hurt him. That's when Greg completely lost it. He started yelling, called me retarded for not seeing what I did wrong, and said there was something wrong with me for having the mentality of a fucking child. It stung. I asked if he seriously wanted me to leave. He said yes. I asked if he was going to give me a ride home since I didn't have my car. He refused, barely looking at me. The anger just boiled up in me. I grabbed my stuff and stormed out. It was 11 at night, in the not-so-great part of town, and I didn't even feel like I could call any friends to rescue me because I was partly embarrassed and partly stubborn. So I walked all the way home alone in the dark. Nothing happened, but I kept thinking about how little Greg seemed to care about my safety, all because of a silly sticker. Not once did he show concern, and that alone made me furious. Now I'm sitting here, stewing. I'm seriously weighing whether to end things over this massive overreaction. He still refuses to talk to me, refuses to explain, just keeps saying, "You should know," and then finally tells me, "Whatever, I'm going to bed," and ends the conversation. Does any of this make sense? I can't decide if I'm missing something huge, or if this is as ridiculous as it feels. If Greg could send me out into the cold, alone, over a joke, what's going to stop him from leaving me stranded on the side of the road the next time we disagree? I honestly don't know what to make of it. He's never acted like this before and I truly don't think I did anything particularly bad. But I can't stop wondering if I'm wrong, if maybe I'm missing something obvious. This is my first relationship, so maybe I'm clueless. But if this is truly how things are going to be, I don't want to be part of it. Update 1. I literally only sent Greg the poop sticker and the "you right now" message. I'm absolutely certain of that, nothing else, nothing more, and I sent it through a private chat just between him and me. I didn't make it public, didn't post it to his wall, didn't share it in a group chat. Even if I had, I honestly don't see why anyone would take such extreme offense. Still, I wanted to be sure, and that's exactly what I sent. After taking the day to really think things over, and after a good long talk with my best friend, I decided to trust my instincts and end things with Greg. He hadn't contacted me at all since he suddenly cut me off the previous night. Then, to top it off, he posted a bright, smiling photo of himself enjoying brunch with his buddies on Facebook. That moment hit me like a slap. He didn't even care enough to reach out, no regret, no remorse. Watching just how few shits he seemed to give about me, the pun is not lost on me, was a complete punch in the gut. That was it. I messaged him, "You're a shitty person. We're over. Don't contact me again." Then I blocked him on Facebook. I know, I wasn't brave enough to use all the brilliant puns or responses I'd been considering, the dump and turd puns would have been epic, but I couldn't channel humor through my anger. Next, after I changed my relationship status and deleted all our couple photos, my phone started to ring. Greg was calling, over and over. I considered just blocking his number too, but curiosity got the better of me. I picked up. Silence on the line. Complete, angry silence. Finally, I snapped, "Hello?" in the most impatient tone I could muster, and he responded, "This is really how you're going to do this?" That set off an argument, 40 minutes of shouting, blaming, defending. He hurled accusations, called me a bitch for throwing away a good relationship on a whim. I defended myself. I told him I wanted to work things out, to understand what had gone wrong, but he was the one who'd stonewalled me and made me feel it wasn't worth the effort. As we argued further, reality finally seemed to sink in for Greg. He started to realize I wasn't just trying to get his attention, I was actually serious. Suddenly, he was genuinely upset. "Please don't break up, we are so good together." Hearing his voice crack was hard. Up until this blow-up, we really had a great relationship. I started feeling guilty. But I also kept remembering how I could never trust him with my feelings or my safety again, and how disturbing it was that he hadn't even been worried about me or my well-being until he noticed the status change, until I was the one walking away. On top of that was his anger and this ugly side I'd never seen before. I just couldn't trust the person I thought I knew. I tried to stay firm. We kept talking, arguing, really, and Greg finally seemed to think that just talking about the problem would be enough to win me back. So, he confessed what had really been eating at him. And honestly, I found it incredibly stupid. Apparently, about a week ago, Greg had invited me to hang out with his gaming buddies. We're both gamers, and the group's whole dynamic is this tradition of trash talking and playful ribbing, especially when gaming gets competitive. That night, I jumped right into the trash talk, like everyone else. Sure, I gloated when I beat him, but everyone was making a big show of taunting and gloating after every victory. I thought it was all in good fun. Turns out, Greg didn't see it that way. To him, my gloating humiliated him. Worse, his buddies started teasing him, making jokes like, "Wow, you're basically dating a dude," or "Your girlfriend is basically just like a girl version of their friend's name," because I was willing to joke openly about stuff like poop, sex, whatever. Honestly, it felt like none of those guys had spent much time around women. They seemed shocked at every mention of things like girls farting, like I was some sort of anomaly. I brushed it off at the time, but after that night, Greg's friends apparently kept mocking him, telling him I was too manly, that I didn't respect him, or even that I was more masculine than he was. According to Greg, it was relentless. So he'd been quietly stewing in his insecurity ever since, and the poop sticker I sent pushed him over the edge. He thought I was calling him a fat pile of shit, that I thought I could insult him and get away with it, literally his words. His explanation was muddled, full of frustration that he even had to try to spell all this out to me. I wasn't impressed. I probably should have felt more empathy, but I just couldn't summon any. If he'd ever brought this up to me directly, even hinted how uncomfortable he was, I would have dialed it back. While I get that he might find a manly girlfriend unattractive, though I don't agree with that, I do not see how it's something to be emasculated by, or how his friends' opinions held so much sway. The whole thing started feeling a little red pilly to me, but I honestly don't know enough to be sure. I guess I just can't relate. In my view, none of this justified kicking me out, ignoring my messages, or descending into name-calling. Nothing justifies that. Maybe I'm just pissed off. Maybe it's because this was my first serious relationship. But it didn't feel right, and I told him he needed to grow up, but that it wasn't going to be with me. Greg admitted to being immature, but he was still angry, accusing me of insulting him with the sticker, of not showing him respect, even though our relationship had always included this kind of teasing, and furious that I was breaking it off. He asked me to give it a few days to think about it, but I stood my ground. I made it clear that I'd had enough. Then he spat out, "My friends were right. You're just a cunt who doesn't care or respect me," and I hung up. He's called a few more times, but I'm about to go see Inside Out with my friends and just feel my feels. I guess we both screwed up and both have some growing to do. But right now, I don't feel that bad. I'm still mad, but a lot less than I expected. I'm 17, and I just went through my very first breakup. It's hitting me a lot harder than I ever expected. I feel like there's this emptiness in my chest, and every song or little thing reminds me of her. We had been together for almost a year, so I got used to having her around every day, talking, snapping, calling late at night until one of us fell asleep. Now, my phone is totally silent. It's like suddenly I'm forced to remember what life was like before, but I don't know if I want to. I keep replaying our last conversation. She said it wasn't anything I did, that she just didn't feel the same anymore and wanted space to figure herself out. Of course, I nodded and said I understood, but inside I was just falling apart. I couldn't argue or try to change her mind. If someone doesn't want to be with you, you can't make them. Still, it stings more than I thought possible. My friends have tried to convince me to go out, to get over her and distract myself. I went once, but everything just felt off. I kept checking my phone out of habit, half hoping it would light up with her name. It never did. Sometimes I wonder if she misses me at all, but I try not to dwell on it. I can't stop remembering the good moments. Our first movie together, laughing so hard we cried, or the way she used to listen to me talk about my dumbest thoughts. I know it'll get easier with time, and that everyone goes through this at least once, but right now it feels like I'm stuck under this heavy blanket I can't shake off. I know I'll heal eventually. But wow, right now, it just sucks. I never realized heartbreak would feel this real and this intense. Update 2. I went to see Inside Out with my friends, cried at all the obvious parts, ate popcorn like it had personally wronged me, and came home feeling wrung out but lighter. My phone had 2 missed calls from an unknown number and a text that said, "I'm not trying to be creepy. I'm Greg's neighbor/occasional teammate. Can I tell you something?" I stared at it for a minute, debating whether occasional teammate was code for stalker, then asked what he wanted. He sent me a screenshot. It was a Discord window from the night everything blew up. And there it was, the exact poop sticker I'd sent, ballooning across the corner of a screen share. Greg had been streaming his phone to his friends while he was in the bathroom. The notification popped up front and center, my sticker, my little you right now, right over the game. His mic was live. They all saw it. The chat was full of crying laughing emojis and bro. And one guy just typing Toilet King over and over like it was a spell. Neighbor/teammate, his name is Drew, said Greg had been in their voice channel from the toilet. He even joked about dropping a quick level before I sent the sticker, and when my message popped up it became a running joke. People screenshotted it. Someone made a crude little meme of Greg's avatar sitting on a porcelain throne, and apparently, instead of telling me any of this, Greg doubled down on the rage and told them he'd handled it. By handled it, he meant kicking me out and then sulking on Facebook like nothing happened. I sat there on my bed, half horrified, half howling because it was so absurd. I didn't even know he was screen sharing. I didn't even know Discord overlays existed on his phone. I sent a dumb sticker to my boyfriend in a private chat and somehow became the main character in his bathroom livestream. Drew wasn't done. He said he felt bad because he was one of the people laughing at the time, and then felt worse when he heard I'd walked home. He offered to get my hoodie and a couple of my things off Greg's couch, because he knew Greg wasn't going to make it easy. I told him I'd meet him at a cafe around the corner the next afternoon, public place, midday. Drew actually showed up on time and handed me my hoodie and a Switch controller I hadn't even realized I left. He looked like he wanted to apologize for, I don't know, the whole male species. We were making awkward small talk when Greg walked in. He saw me, saw Drew, and I could see the math happening behind his eyes. He gave me this brittle smile and started in with, "Okay, I'm ready to talk now," like we'd just been on a timeout. I told him I already got his explanation. He blinked. I told him I knew he'd been streaming from the bathroom to his buddies, and my sticker popped up on the screen because he had his notifications on. I said it calmly. He went red so fast I honestly got worried for his blood pressure. He swung between 3 modes in under a minute: insulted, "You don't get what you did," wounded, "It was humiliating," and salesman, "I'll cut them off, I'll fix this, we're good together." I don't think he expected me to have the screenshot. When I told him it wasn't my fault, he decided to turn his toilet time into a live demo. He snapped, "Why would you even send that?" As if. The sane answer is because I wanted to ruin your Twitch career from my kitchen. I asked him one simple thing: why didn't he just say this to me that night? Even a hint? Anything besides wow and throwing me out? He didn't have a real answer. He said I should have known. He said I embarrassed him in front of his friends again. He said a lot of things that boiled down to the same thing: I made him feel small. Drew quietly pushed my stuff a little closer to me like he was preparing for a fire drill. Greg saw it, clocked that Drew was the leaker, and tried to ace him out with a glare. Drew didn't budge. He just said, "Dude, you left her to walk home at midnight," and smiled like that was the whole closing argument. It was. Greg looked at me like I was supposed to save him from his own consequence. I told him I hoped he figured out why he cared more about what the guys thought than how he treated the person he was with. He said something under his breath that sounded like whatever, and something above his breath that was definitely, "You always have to be the funny one." That was the point I realized how much of this had never been about poop at all. He stormed out. Drew apologized again, even though he didn't have to, and asked if I was safe getting home. I was. I went home, blocked Greg's number, and set my phone on Do Not Disturb for the first peaceful hour I'd had in days. Later that evening, another ping, this time an Instagram DM from an account I didn't recognize. It was a girl with pink hair and the world's most judgmental cat. She said she dated Greg last year and heard what happened because one of the guys in the Discord can't keep his mouth shut. She said she left him after he exploded at her for making him look stupid in front of his friends when she corrected him about something trivial at a party. He'd thrown her keys in the yard and made her look for them in the dark. She sent me a photo of her with a flashlight in the grass from that night. "He will do this again," she wrote. I wish someone had told me sooner. I sat there with that DM open for a long time. It didn't make me feel vindicated. It just made me very, very sure I'd done the right thing. I logged into my game later, because of course I did. My guild chat blinked with a friend request from one of Greg's buddies, the quiet one with the dog avatar. His message just said, "You were fun. If you ever want a group that doesn't implode over toilet jokes, we play Thursdays." I laughed so hard I snorted and then actually messaged back. I set up the boundary in the same breath. No trash talk about bodies, no personal shots, keep it light or I'm out. He sent a thumbs up and a sticker of a raccoon giving a salute. No poop in sight. I didn't expect any of this to end with me making new friends, or a screenshot of my dumb sticker becoming Exhibit A in a breakup, or a random girl with a pink-haired cat sending me a picture of a lawn at midnight. But that's where I am. I've got my hoodie back, my phone is quiet on purpose, and I am not dating a man who screen shares from the toilet. I keep thinking about how he said I should have known. All I can think now is, he should have, too. He should have known that if you care about someone, you don't make them walk home in the dark. You don't call them names. You don't wait for them to leave before you decide to find your voice. And you definitely don't live stream your bathroom and blame anyone else when it blows back on you. Update 3. I thought the Thursday game would be the end of the ridiculousness. It was, for like 20 minutes. The guys were normal funny, not mean funny, and I could actually breathe. We were mid-raid when a new voice popped into voice chat. No hello, just a heavy sigh like someone had entered from the moors. The username was Throne Warrior 21. I stared at the screen and then at the ceiling like maybe God would explain why he keeps handing me bathroom-themed destiny. The mod booted him in under 10 seconds. My DMs lit up with a Notes app screenshot titled Conditions, full of the kind of rules you write when you think relationships are contracts and not two actual people. No toilet humor. No public messages. No competition in mixed company. An apology at the end that read like it was written with a hostage negotiator over his shoulder. I didn't respond. The mod quietly turned on server mute new joins, and we kept playing. My hands shook for the next hour anyway. The next morning there was a doorbell ring. I opened the door to a delivery guy holding a cheese pizza with a sad little single pepperoni centered like a nipple. The receipt said, "I'm sorry, can we talk?" I gave the pizza to my across the hall neighbor and ate yogurt out of the tub with the kind of ferocity I usually reserve for finals. If you're going to try to bribe me with food, at least go full pepperoni art. Commit to the bit. Pink hair messaged again. She asked if I wanted to stop by the cat cafe she works at after her shift. I went because at this point, my life is apparently a tour of themed cafes and men's poor decisions. Her cat looked at me like I was a disappointing audition and then fell asleep on my tote bag. She told me he'd shown up at her job once with flowers and made a scene when she wouldn't take them, then texted her a slideshow of the flowers slowly wilting over 3 days. When I told her about the pizza and conditions, she did this full-body cringe that should be a Yelp review category. We talked about the kind of apologies that are really strategies and how they feel more like traps than bridges. She didn't tell me what to do. She didn't need to. I guess he got tired of being ignored because around lunch, he walked into my workplace with a grocery store bouquet and that two bright smile people wear when they're trying to sell you a timeshare. My manager intercepted him and asked if I wanted to step out. I did, because I wanted to say the thing that's been sitting on my tongue since the cafe. We stood in the lobby under the framed motivational poster about teamwork, which felt like a prank from the universe. He launched into his speech about how we're perfect except for this one thing. How if I just toned it down and he just tuned out the noise we'd be golden. How everyone messes up. He kept saying everyone, as if he was trying to drag random strangers into this with him. I told him I didn't want to be smaller so he could feel bigger. I told him it wasn't my job to make sure his friends thought he was a man. I told him that if a sticker could detonate us, the bomb was already built. He said, "You made me a meme," like he was accusing me of arson. I said, "You made you a meme," because he had. His voice came up a notch, my manager's head popped around the corner like a meerkat, and I ended it. Again. Out loud. Clean. He called me cold. Security escorted him out when he wouldn't stop talking. I filed a note with HR and spent the next 15 minutes washing my hands in the bathroom, not because they were dirty but because I needed to do something repetitive and normal before I cried. Then I cried anyway and went back to my desk and answered emails about shipping labels like none of it had just happened. That night, the quiet guy with the dog avatar invited me to a small local tourney at a board game cafe. He said it would be low stakes and mostly an excuse to eat nachos under fluorescent lighting. I said yes because I wanted a night where the only drama was whether I misplayed a card. We got there and it turned out one of the teams was a chunk of Greg's friend group, minus Greg. The loud one with the toilet king bit came over, scratched the back of his neck like a teenager, and apologized to me. Not a performance apology, the awkward kind that is probably what most apologies actually look like in real life. He said they turned their mics off of bathroom chatter and made no streaming from the crap or a house rule. I told him I appreciated it, and that I didn't care what rules they made as long as nobody left anyone to walk home alone again. He winced. Fair. We ended up matched against them in round 2. It was weird for the first 5 minutes and then it was just a game. We beat them by 2 points. No gloating, just a goofy little victory dance with my team that involved a raccoon sticker slapped in the chat and someone whisper shouting respectful celebration like a kindergarten teacher. The guy with the dog avatar fist bumped me and we got nachos that were somehow both too soggy and too sharp. It felt like the kind of night I had before I decided to try to be somebody's girlfriend. Good. Easy. My phone stayed on Do Not Disturb and the world did not end. When I got home there was a single text from an unknown number that said, "I'm in therapy." That was it. No promise. No demand. I stared at it for a long time. I hope he is. I hope he sticks with it. I also hope he never brings a phone into a bathroom voice channel again. Both can be true. I put my hoodie over the back of my chair, turned my phone face down, and queued up the stupid show we never finished. I laughed at the dumb parts with my own dumb laugh in my own dumb apartment, and it hit me that I don't miss being the funny one. I miss being funny without someone keeping score. I get to have that again. I get to have friends who send raccoon salutes and nacho invites and not one single toilet emoji unless I send it first. And even then, maybe not. I'm not saying I've retired the poop sticker, I'm just saying it's back where it belongs, in my private chats, not on a live stream, not as a weapon, not as a story that ends with me on a dark sidewalk. I didn't know I could draw that line and feel relief instead of emptiness. Apparently, I can. Update 4. I thought the weirdness had finally burned itself out. Then a manila envelope with a very dramatic important legal document stamp showed up in my mailbox like it was auditioning for a daytime courtroom show. Inside was a cease and desist letter on clipart letterhead from K. Addison, Esquire, which a quick Google told me was a legal Zoom template with the font swapped. It accused me of defamation for publicly humiliating Greg, demanded I take down all online postings, and, this part almost sent me into orbit, referred to the incident as the Toilet King event. Capitalized. Like a hurricane. I took it to the campus legal clinic because my manager has been on a don't just walk it off kick. The student attorney read it, made a sound like a kettle trying not to boil, and said, "You haven't posted anything. Also, truth isn't defamation. Also, this is, not a thing." He told me I didn't have to respond at all. I didn't. I folded it back into the envelope and slid it under my kitchen sink with the extra sponges like it was a rare species of mold. 2 days later, I was restocking pens at work when the front desk buzzed. No flowers, no pizza, no timeshare smile. This time it was a small potted peace lily and a plain card that said, "Truce?" The lily was already drooping like it had read the conditions document and lost the will to photosynthesize. The card had a USB drive taped inside with foreclosure written on it in block letters. I took one look at the USB and said absolutely not out loud. I texted Drew because he is apparently my unofficial safety IT and asked if he could check a drive for me on a sacrificial device. He did, because of course he owns a laptop named the Toaster specifically for cursed files. It was a slideshow of photos of the peace lily in different rooms of his apartment with timestamps. Day 1, kitchen. Day 2, window. Day 3, bathtub. It was like the wilting flower thing, but with flora instead of carnations and somehow sadder because he had to fill a bathtub to take the last photo. I gave the plant to the receptionist with a warning label, not haunted, just emotionally complicated. Thursday came and with it, raid night. No moody usernames, no conditions, just solid, dumb jokes and a boss that refused to die. After, the dog avatar guy asked if I wanted to help write the code of conduct for the little group they were starting up. I said yes, on the condition that the first rule could be, no streaming from bathrooms. He wrote it at the top and didn't even make it a joke. Seeing my own words up there, ordinary and a little bossy, made something in my chest unclench. I didn't realize how much I missed being allowed to set the tone without being told I was doing too much. The universe, a comedian with no sense of timing, put Greg in my path at the grocery store 2 days later. We met in the toilet paper aisle. Of course we did. He was in gym shorts and the posture of someone who learned how to make himself smaller and is trying to stop. I had a cart full of ingredients for nachos and a very judgmental bag of spring mix. We both reached for the same 12-pack like a rom-com with a marketing budget of $12. He froze. I froze. For a second, I saw the version of this where he launches into a monologue, or I do, or one of us uses a brand name as a metaphor. Instead he said, quietly, "I'm actually in therapy, not a text. Not a performance. Just words." He didn't cite his therapist like a quote book. He didn't list conditions. He looked at me, not through me, and then looked away. I said, "Good." I meant it. We stood there with a wall of 2-ply staring us down, and it felt like looking at a scar you don't hate anymore because it proves you healed. He stepped back, let me take the pack, and reached for a different brand. No flinch when I walked past. No last word. We were 2 people buying paper. At the checkout, the cashier accidentally scanned the toilet paper twice and then apologized like she'd just insulted my grandmother. I told her it was fine, I'm used to people overvaluing the role of TP in my life. She laughed, and it was the kind of laugh that didn't take anything from me. I went home, made nachos that were aggressively average, and watched half a season of my stupid show without checking my phone once. The only ping was from Pink Hair, a photo of her cat asleep inside a paper bag with the caption, "We are all thriving." I woke up the next morning to a Facebook message request from a woman whose profile picture was a sun hat and a lake. "Hi," it read. "I'm Greg's mom." I sat up like I'd been yanked. The message wasn't what I braced for. No accusations, no young lady, no paragraph about respect. She said she was sorry I had to walk home. She said she talked to him. She hoped I was okay. She hoped he would be, too. She said, "You don't have to respond. I just wanted you to know I see it." I cried way harder at that than at anything else because it felt like the first adult in the room had finally opened a window. I wrote back one line, "Thank you. I'm okay." Then I closed the request and went on with my day, which involved a spreadsheet and a pencil sharpener and approximately 0 toilet-based plot twists. This afternoon I signed on to our little server to see the code of conduct pinned with a tiny raccoon salute. There was a flyer in the general channel for a local charity one of the guy's sisters runs that does late-night campus walk escorts. Our group is going to do a goofy mini tournament to raise money. There's a doodle of a raccoon wearing a reflective vest. No one called it the Toilet King anything. No jokes about me. No jokes about him. Just hey, we can make sure fewer people walk home alone. I said I'd bake brownies. The dog avatar guy said, please no raisins. I said I'm not a monster. I don't know if his therapy sticks. I don't know if he'll ever stop needing someone to spot him when other men are watching. I do know I'm not volunteering for that job ever again. I get to be funny without it being a scoreboard. I get to set rules without becoming the punchline. I get to buy toilet paper and have it mean nothing more than a clean bathroom. I put the peace lily on my windowsill. It perked up after I watered it and rotated it toward the light. No conditions. No slideshow. Just something that drooped, then didn't. I like having proof that things come back if you give them something decent to sit in. I'm going to go make brownies and draft rules about not being a jerk in a voice channel. And maybe later I'll send one sticker to Drew. The raccoon, saluting, that's it. Just a salute. Update 5. The charity night looked exactly like something thrown together by 5 nerds with big hearts and a Google Doc, folding tables, a hand-painted sign with a raccoon in a reflective vest that looked like it had seen some things, and a mason jar with Walk Buddies fun sharpied on in a handwriting style I can only describe as Confident Doctor. I brought brownies that could have doubled as small weights. No raisins. We taped the code of conduct to the wall at eye level. The first line, no streaming from bathrooms, sat there like a quiet, benevolent gargoyle. It made me laugh every time I passed it. People actually showed up. Not just the usual Thursday guys, sisters, roommates, a professor who definitely thinks Settlers of Catan is a personality type. Pink hair came with a box of cookies shaped like traffic cones. For the theme, she said, and wiggled one at me. Her cat could not attend but she brought a sticker of his face and slapped it on the donation jar so he could judge us from all angles. Half an hour in, a team rolled in wearing paper crowns from a burger place. Their team name on the bracket, Royal Flush. I braced. The loud one who chanted Toilet King earlier clocked them first and winced like someone had bitten foil. He walked over, tapped the code of conduct, and quietly asked them to change their name to something less porcelain. They peeled off the crowns without a scene. We'll be the Raccoon Brigade, one of them said, and held up 2 fingers in a salute. The room let out this collective exhale I didn't know I'd been holding. Halfway through the first round, the power went out. Not dramatic, just a soft click, and then the fluorescent hum disappeared and the whole cafe dropped into aquarium dim. There was a second of silence where all of us looked up like we'd upset a god. Then flashlights bloomed out of pockets like fireflies, and someone yelled, "Analog games it is," and dumped a stack of cards on a table. The owner brought out candles and coffee mugs. The bracket migrated to paper. The vibe went from LAN party to summer camp in under 2 minutes. I sat cross-legged under a table with a freshman I'd never met, eating a cone cookie and teaching her the rules to a game that genuinely only has one rule. It was stupid and perfect. The donation jar filled in that soft dark, bills folded like little tents. Someone slid an envelope underneath it with match written in block letters I recognized from a certain conditions document. I didn't open it. The room had the feel of something being nudged forward by a lot of small, kind choices. I wanted to leave it intact. The dog avatar guy finally told me his name when I caught him washing mugs in the back because the sink sprayer had started a mutiny. "I'm Ben," he said, sheepish, like he had to apologize for not being a dog. We both laughed at that. He has one of those smiles that looks like he wasn't planning to do it and then his face forgot. A student journalist poked her head in with a DSLR and a hopeful expression. She asked if she could take a photo for the campus paper. "Only if you don't turn it into a bathroom joke," I told her, and she held up her hand like a Girl Scout and said, "I swear." She took a picture of the code of conduct and the raccoon vest sign and 2 girls wiping down tables with the kind of teamwork that would make the poster in my workplace lobby weep. The power kicked back on right as we were crowning the Raccoon Brigade with a victory that involved 0 toilets and a lot of yelling about a card everyone thought was missing but was actually stuck to someone's elbow. We counted the mason jar with sticky fingers. It was more than we expected by a lot. When we finally checked the envelope, it was a cashier's check made out to the escort program for the exact amount we'd raised. No signature, just a tiny post-it that said no names. The handwriting looked steadier than the conditions blocks. I didn't need a name to understand what it was. 2 days later, there was a plain envelope under my door with my name written like someone practiced first and then made themselves stop practicing. Inside, a 1-page letter, handwritten. No clauses, no bullet points, no demands. He wrote that he was sorry for making me walk, for calling me names, for letting his friends' voices be louder in his head than mine. He wrote that he sent the fake legal letter himself because he felt cornered and wanted control and it was a stupid, ugly thing to do. He wrote that he told Kay Addison, his middle name is Kyle, which made me laugh and then not, to retire and that he'd also asked the guys to pull every screenshot, every meme, and to stop using my name in a punchline. "Here's where I stop asking you for anything," was the last line. There was a small receipt tucked in behind it for the cashier's check. No return address. I slid the envelope under the lily on my windowsill. It felt right for it to sit there and do nothing but exist. The escort program put out a sign-up call and I took a Saturday slot. I walked 2 girls from the library to their dorm, talking about exam week goggles and the weirdness of carrying a potted plant on a bus. One of them said her ex used to forget his wallet every time they were anywhere near a register. I wanted to hug her and also hand her a spreadsheet. At the corner by the campus green, a group of guys cut across our path and one of them started to peel off with that aimless, helpful look men get when they've just remembered the concept of chivalry. He clocked my reflective vest and the raccoon sticker and backed up, hands raised, like we were wildlife you shouldn't feed. Good progress, in the funniest possible packaging. Drew came over that night with a sticker sheet he'd gotten printed. Raccoons saluting, raccoons holding tiny flashlights, a raccoon wearing headphones with a big X over a toilet. We stood in my kitchen and stuck them to the toaster laptop like it was a yearbook. He told me his landlord finally fixed the buzz in his bathroom light and we both laughed at how all roads in this story lead to fixtures. He's moving in 2 months for a job. He said it like the beginning of good news, not an apology for leaving. I like people who don't make their exits my homework. Ben asked if I wanted to co-write a silly bot for our server that auto DMs you. BRB is fine but not from the loo if your mic picks up water. We deleted the water idea in under a minute because neither of us wanted to be the fun police of faucets. We ended up with a bot that posts a raccoon salute and a hey, mute if you're on the move anytime someone joins voice from mobile. It's dumb and gentle and half of us forget to toggle it anyway, but the vibe shifted. It's amazing how much of life is just saying the quiet rule out loud. I ran into his mom in the cereal aisle because apparently grocery stores are where I do all my character development now. She had a basket and the exact same sun hat from her profile picture looped through the handle. She saw me, hesitated, and then stepped closer with a careful smile. She didn't ask me to update her. She didn't try to take credit for anything. She said, "I'm glad you're okay," and squeezed my elbow and then made a beeline for the oatmeal like she'd used up her allotment of bravery for the day. I stood there with a box of knockoff Cheerios, blinking in the direction of the marshmallows like they might clap. The campus paper ran a photo the next morning, code of conduct taped to a wall, raccoon in a vest, a table of people bending over a board with their heads almost touching. The caption just said, "Students raise funds for late night walk program." No taglines. No pun about thrones. I didn't realize how badly I wanted an ordinary sentence until I got one. The peace lily has 3 new leaves. It's smug about it. I watered it, put on our show, and fell asleep on the couch with a raccoon sticker stuck to my sock like a badge of dubious honor. When I woke up, there was a text in the raid chat, "Thursday?" Ben sent a thumbs up. Drew sent a photo of a toaster. Pink Hair sent her cat, asleep in a mixing bowl. I sent one sticker back, the raccoon, saluting. And, just because it felt like mine again, I sent the poop to my best friend with no caption. She sent back wow. I sent wow right back. Then we both sent 10 raccoons, because apparently, room can exist for both.